it's your favourite Atomic Blonde here with my roundup of 2022. Hi everyone, I'm back. Finally over the lurgy. I'm still not looking the best, but hey, I actually have a voice and I can go more than 30 seconds without coughing. So yeah, I've had this kind of what everybody's calling like COVID, not COVID. So about the last 2 weeks, I've had this horrible flu bug thing. It just ended with like constant coughing. So every time I tried to do a stream, I just had to give up because it's like 20 minutes of coughing, about 30 seconds of talking. But anyway, the worst is gone. Apologies for a few as we go through, but really wanted to jump on and get a stream out there. It feels like it's been a lifetime since I was last putting a stream out there. So I just wanted to kind of go over what the highlights for me of 2022 were. There was a lot of bad stuff out there. And I think if I kind of try to do the worst of 2022, it'll be about a 5-hour stream. So I just actually wanted to touch on what my personal highlights were for the year, TV shows and a couple of movies. So let's kick off. Let's start with my top 5 shows. These are in no particular order. I did sort of try and do top 5, but I loved all these pretty much equally. There's probably a few I like slightly more, but this is no reflection of my favorites. But so the Terminal List. Way back in July, I think this dropped just when I started my channel, end of July. Chris Pratt on C Prime Video. Honestly, actually, a lot of the shows that I liked this year, pretty much all Amazon Prime. I mean, obviously, there's some right turkeys in there with the Rings of Power, which thankfully I did not watch. But yeah, there was quite a bit of good stuff as well. So I think this was like on the heels of kind of Reacher. Quite different to what we had been seeing coming out of Netflix and Prime, based on a book series. I believe hopefully we're getting the second one, the second book of these. And it is all around a Marine who discovers he's got a brain tumor and is obviously is terminal. And he basically sort of finds out this whole sort of conspiracy behind the tumor and what actually went on. It was a great story, really well acted, well paced. And, we got like a proper, male hero, like a man being a man. There wasn't loads of obnoxious, sassy women running around. There was like good female characters in it. But they weren't, I'm putting down Chris Pratt every 5 seconds. This is a massive hit on Prime. I think it's still in their top 10 most watched series, much to the Reese disappointment, who all hate Chris Pratt for some reason. Just making assumptions about his private life and what he doesn't believe or think just because, whatever. Personally, I like Chris Pratt. I think he's really funny. He and to be fair, he really surprised me in this, like his acting ability, because I'd really only seen him in Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think he was it Parks and Recreation? I'm not sure. But I've not watched that. But he's very much known for obviously his comedy shtick. But in this, he really did show his acting ability. He really, stepped up, and I really, really enjoyed this show. As I said, I'm looking forward to hopefully season 2, and I think there's 5 books in the series. Obviously, unless they can find a way to operate, or he's no longer terminal, there's kind of like a finite amount of things that there can be. But yeah, it was great show. If you haven't seen it, do go check it out. If you like Reacher and Jack Ryan and things like that, you'll absolutely love this show. Moving on. Stranger Things season 4. Again, I think it all blindsided us completely. The first season of Stranger Things was fantastic. We'd never seen anything like it. It was new, refreshing from the Duffer Brothers. And then we got season 2, which okay, I quite like season 2. Not everybody did. And then season 3 was a bit like, what was that? So, but then, you know, the unheard of happened, that the showrunners, rather than coming out and attacking all the flans and telling them, you know, that they're this, they're that, and the other, actually listened to the feedback that they were getting on seasons 2 and 3 and course corrected. They actually went away, rethought it, or whether they, I don't know, whether in focus groups or they just listened to what people were saying, and they came out with a smasher of the season 4. Absolutely knocked it out the park. None of us saw it coming. We were like, oh god. On the heels of season 3, we're like, oh, this can only get worse, because it's sort of a steady, down climb from season 1. And oh my god, this season was so good, so good. They finally sort of worked out what to do with some of the characters, and also I think it worked that the focus wasn't all on 11. And I think that was part of the problem with like the season 3. That obviously Millie Bobby Brown was kind of the breakout star of this, and whether it's true or not, we don't know. But there's she's a little bit of a diva, and I think actually shifting the focus onto the other characters and the Hopper storyline, and just everything that unraveled, it was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So we're all now like really, really excited for the final season 5. I just hope they nail the landing. Obviously, we had the introduction of Eddie in this season. Everybody just fell in love with it. It was brilliant. And then for him to be killed off in the same season, it does make you think if they're going to try and find a way to bring him back or include him in season 5. So whether he'll just be part of the Upside Down world, I think that's kind of cool. But otherwise, I think if they do kind of bring him back, it will kind of almost ruin his sacrifice and what he did in season 4. So as much as he's a fantastic character, I think either have him in as sort of flashbacks or something to do with the Upside Down world. But then I think they tried to bring him back. I think it will actually sort of ruin, what the story arc of season 4, like the sacrifice he made at the end and then the journey he went on. So yeah, absolute surprise. I'm so pleased this show is back on track, because I absolutely love season 1. So I quite like season 2. Poor Sean Austin. 3 was a disappointment. I mean, I watched it. It was okay, but it just wasn't a patch, and it just sort of lost its way. It didn't really know where it was going. And just taking that time out to take stock, listen to the feedback, come out with a smash of a season 4. I really, really hope they nail the landing of season 5, the final season. That, we just don't get to the end and go, oh, is that what it was? Nothing worse. We've had some terrible stinker finales. Let's hope this is a good one. 1899, so quite a new one. It only came out a couple of months ago. But, from my reviews on this channel, I love stuff like this. I'm a complete sucker for it. I'm not going to go on too much about this because my last couple of reviews were about 1899. So if you want to know about the show and the full information and all the reviews, go check those out on my channel. But yeah, it's from the writers of Dark. They're sort of German creators, come up with this sort of, we don't know what it was. Was it time travel? Was it dimensions? What the hell was going on? We still have no idea what's really going on. We've just kind of gone from it being set in 1899 on this cruise ship as immigrants going over to America, to New York, to start new lives, sort of Titanic-esque, if you like, looking at the boat and all the people that are on there. And some strange shit starts to happen, and a sister ship, the Prometheus, turns up, completely abandoned, and it looks like it's been missing for a lot longer than the ship's been missing. Everybody on board has disappeared, apart from they find one boy locked in a cupboard. And then we kind of go through lots of freaky stuff. and going into different worlds and in secret compartments on the ship, to where it concludes that the lead character in it wakes up and she's actually on a spaceship in stasis. And that was like how it ended. So I really hope we get a season 2 of this, because the Dark was like 3 seasons. I'm guessing this will probably be the same if they get the opportunity to do it. It was in the top 10 quite a long time. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. These are very twisty-turny. You have to pay attention to what's going on. You can't sort of sit there and have it on in the background TV. You really have to be engaged. And as everybody has said, make sure you watch it English, but not dubbed, because there's lots of different. There's got people with French and German and I think like Swedish or Danish or something like that. And a lot of the interactions are that they don't speak the same language. So when you watch it, when it's dubbed, you got someone in English saying something in English with someone going, I don't understand what you're saying in English. It just doesn't work. So do watch the English non-dubbed version to get the full interactions. But yeah, this is complete mind flip. Absolutely loved it. Really hoping for a season 2. Cobra Kai. So it's a bit weird, actually. Obviously, we normally get it at Christmas. We got it a few months earlier. Absolutely amazing season. Again, I don't think we've actually heard if it's been renewed. I'm pretty sure it will be. I mean, this is like one of their absolute top properties, and I think after seeing the Witcher and the Blood Origin absolutely crash and burn for Netflix. It's their Rings of Power. They will be looking at the shows that are going to, attract people and make them money, and that think people will rewatch over and over again. This is definitely one of those shows. It has just gone from strength to strength, this show. There was a couple of wobbles, it's sort of in the middle, but this season was fantastic. They still have the best balance of kind of nostalgia and old characters with the new characters. The only sort of fly in the ointment is Daniel's daughter. Oh, she's annoying as hell. And she doesn't get any better with each season. But otherwise, the rest of the cast and the way they're written is great. It's not that she's a Mary Sue or anything like that. She's just irritating, quite frankly. And you sort of have the juxtaposition of Tori, who's just absolutely brilliant. And there's a lot of nuance to her character and depth. And obviously, she's been through a lot. Versus, I think, her character, the daughter just comes across a bit superficial, I think. I don't know. For whatever reason, she just doesn't work for me. But this has the best blend of like humor and seriousness and great storytelling. Every season, it's like, well, who are we going to get back from the previous films? And there's a good mixture of like little flashbacks from the films. Obviously, they do talk about Mr. Miyagi quite a lot, who's obviously the actor passed away many years ago now, but still showing how he still influences Daniel's life now, and how he was really his family, because obviously Daniel didn't have his father in the films, and just really how it sort of shaped his life and continues to shape his life, but how he's grown as a person. And I think I kind of loved about this season is that you kind of had like Johnny and Daniel almost like flipping roles. That Daniel's like on this downward spiral and he's drinking and just being a bit of a knob. And then you've got Johnny who's like sort of growing up and being more responsible and, goes to look for Miguel, and then obviously find out that his girlfriend Miguel's mum's pregnant. He's going to be a dad again. And yeah, it was really, really well done. And then the season finale was just absolutely fantastic. It was just so good how they bring down Silver. It's one of those shows you can just watch over and over again. So even if you thought like, I'm not really a fan of the Karate Kid films, I'd still say go watch these. It's very light touch going back to the films, but it's so much more than the films, and the way that the storylines have evolved and the acting in it, and like Johnny Lawrence is just absolute ledge. He's just stuck in the 80s in all the best ways. It's just hilarious. So if you haven't done, do go check out Cobra Kai. And lastly, in my top 5, House of the Dragon. Oh, how much did I love this show? Now, it's one of those that I haven't watched Game of Thrones. When Game of Thrones came out in the UK, it's on Sky Atlantic. I've always had like Virgin Media, so you don't get Sky Atlantic with that package. So I've never watched it. And it's one of those ones, it's like 8 seasons, and I thought, well, I don't really want to buy it because if I don't like it, I'm sort of stuck with it. And then obviously a lot of people had said to me, oh, knowing what you like, I think you'll really like Game of Thrones. And I just like, I'll get around to it kind of thing. And then obviously hearing from so many people how awful season 8 was and how badly it ended just really switched me off. So when House of the Dragon was announced, I was like, actually, especially because Matt Smith's in it, and I'm a huge Doctor Who fan, not Jodie. And he's a great actor, and for whatever reason, he's on paper signed up for all the right things, but the Marvel films, and originally it was going to be in Star Wars, and then got cut out. And you look at Terminator, but every single time it just didn't land for him, and he's just so good. So to finally get a show like House of the Dragon, and for it to be so good, and for him to kind of, I think people know he's a great actor, but in America especially, for him to finally get a really decent role and a successful role is just so rewarding to see. He's just kept plugging away, and he's finally got that project that deserves his talents. He can absolutely shine. But it wasn't just Matt. I mean, Paddy Considine was amazing as Viserys. Just watching this guy's decline in his health, and he's kind of got this fleshy indices, and he's gradually starts off losing his fingers, and he loses his arm. And by the end, he's just sort of skeletal, and he's lost his cheek, he's lost his eye. Oh, it's just, but his heart was still, his passion and love for his family was still so strong. And then the ending, it was just, but we're so teed up for the next season. I'm just gutted it's not next year. I think if they just could have actually just rolled and bounced like new season every year the way they used to, it would have been so much better. People do have short memories. I think it will still be a success when it comes out. People will probably have to go back and rewatch season 1 because obviously there's a lot of intricate storylines and what's going on. But they really need to get their butts into gear. And I think if they can do it, that we get a season every year. I think it's rumored to be 3 seasons of this because obviously it's a much shorter book. I absolutely can't wait for season 2. I'm just gutted it's not going to be next year. So, but do go check it out. It's a fantastic show. It's probably the best show of the year, controversially, for me, that I've seen. Absolutely loved it. So really didn't know what to expect, having not watched Game of Thrones. And the most important thing is, like I say, because it is a prequel, you don't need to have seen Game of Thrones to understand what's going on here. The first episode had a little bit of pacing issues, but there was so much world building that needed to be done. It was really important that they did what they did. So you really understood who everybody was, what the setup was, what's the dynamic. So then it could basically just sort of take off after episode 1, going into episode 2. Some people just like, well, if episode 1 not good, I'm out. I get it, but sometimes, you just got to give it a little bit of time to find its feet and let it run, and you will be absolutely rewarded with this show. It was just kiss. Yeah, some honorable mentions. There's actually a picture I didn't put on here that I should have done, and that was Manifest. Again, as you know, I love this show. Same as like From, they're all mystery boxes. But Manifest, it got cancelled. Netflix bought it. We've had season 4 part 1. We're going to get season 4 part 2, which is the last one, to hopefully finally get answers to what all the callings are. what has all this been about? I have to say, season 4 part 1 was great. They've done such a good job. There's a 2-year time jump because obviously it was supposed to be 6 seasons, so they've almost had to sort of skip forward 2 seasons to get us to the final season and all the answers. But they've done it really, really well. Kind of, we caught up with like what's happened, how things changed. The fact that Cal's come back and he's 5 years older, and how have they dealt with that, and the death of his wife, and seeing Ben go into this awful like spiral, and he's just absolutely lost his mind with his wife dying and turning his back on the callings, and it was just done so well, and the acting is fantastic. I'm really excited for part 2. Again, please nail the landing. I love and hate this mystery box stuff because 9 times out of 10 they don't nail the landing. You're just sitting there going, what? That's just stupid. But so far, Jeff Frake hasn't let us down. And seeing season 4 part 1 with that whole time jump, and he still managed to carry the story on. It was still compelling. It still made sense. We weren't sitting there going, oh, what happened to this and what happened to that, and what? Yeah, it was really, really well done. So fingers crossed. Next year, I cannot wait for part 2 and the final part to get those answers. As I just mentioned there, from when I first launched my channel back in July, I was reviewing From. It was on the Sci-Fi Channel over here. Again, another mystery box one where all these people end up in this little sort of town. And once they're there, they can't leave. And there's these sort of creatures in the woods who look like the people of the town, but basically just tear you apart so they can't be out after dark. And again, they're from all different parts of the country. They were all on different roads, doing different trips, but somehow they all end up in this place, and we don't know what this place is or where this place is, or why they're there. It was a great show. And again, it has been renewed for season 2, which I'm very excited about. Excuse me. So again, mystery box. I hope it has a great answer. It's not a stupid answer. But very excited for season 2. We had The Peripheral that's just recently finished. And again, my last few reviews on the channel covered off The Peripheral, based on a book by Gibson. I actually really enjoyed this. It's the core of the story is the same as the book, but it's done quite differently. It's quite hard to explain. But yeah, I really enjoyed The Peripheral. Again, it's sort of teed up for a great season 2. I think it's been in the top 10 of Prime shows, along with The Terminal List. So again, hopefully we will get a season 2. Again, a bit twisty-turny. So it's set in 2032 in our near future. There's Flynn and her brother Burton, the Fishers, and they play games for money for other people, and they receive some equipment, and they think they're playing a sim, but actually they're being transported in 75 years into the future to London, and they don't realize initially, and it unravels that actually their consciousness is downloaded into a peripheral, which is like a sort of android that are created, sort of 3D created to look like them. And again, in the books, that's where it's slightly different, because the peripheral doesn't look like her. But obviously, for the actress and I guess for people to follow, it made sense that it did look like her, I guess. But anyway, So we find out that there was this thing called the jackpot, which was a series of incidents, of a nuclear explosion and viruses and biological diseases that pretty much brought the world to its knees. And they find this way. There's a server somewhere in the world. They think it's China, but nobody really knows, that enables you to open these sort of portals back to the past, and it creates what they call a stump. And then from that point on, that's then sort of branches off. So there's the primary timeline that's the real timeline. Every time they do this, they open what they call a stump, and there's a branch obviously things have changed and it takes a different course kind of thing. So again, good old-fashioned sci-fi, good acting. Again, you need to pay attention. But I really enjoyed this. Yeah, fingers crossed for season 2. The Boys. I think I've mentioned on my channel several times, and you can tell through the things behind me. I'm a huge Supernatural fan. Absolutely love Supernatural. Every December, I do a bit of a rewatch, put the first 5 seasons, because they are by far the best. The Crypt Key seasons were the best seasons. And then, you know, I watched it all 15 years. Some seasons were better than others, you know. But overall, love the show. So when I heard that Jensen was going to be joining The Boys in season 3, had to watch. Wasn't a massive fan of season 2. It was okay. I know a lot of people hated season 2 because it was very heavy on the woke agenda. I thought season 3 was a massive improvement on season 2. Yeah, there's still, you know, some stuff in there, but it's very tongue-in-cheek, and I really enjoyed season 3. I thought it was much better than season 2. Not as good as season 1, but the addition of Soldier Boy and Jensen was just brilliant. He was so good in it. He's a really good actor with a lot of range. And you know, you just couldn't play a more different character to Dean. And obviously, this is Crypt Key as well, so obviously bringing him across. But it really worked. Again, it kind of elevated the show, new character, and then, you know, to find out that Soldier Boy is I forgot his name. What's its father? That's not very helpful, is it? What's its father? The psycho Superman. It'll come to me. It was just fantastic. It was a great twist towards the end. Obviously, we know like Butcher's been taking too much of the V, so he's now he's like terminal. He's slowly dying. So yeah, very much looking forward to season 4. I don't know, because obviously Soldier Boy's been put back into stasis, so whether Jensen will be in season 4 or not, I don't know. I hope so, because the character is brilliant. It's really good. So yeah, let's see where The Boys takes us, I guess. But yeah, absolutely, season 3. I mean, I'd say I find it quite funny. It is very violent, and there is some eye-rolling stuff in there. That there is, absolutely. There's no point, you know. But I think for me, it's watchable. For some people, they can't, you know, any hint of wokeism and they're just out, and I get it. That's fine. I can sort of take it in small doses, and if overall the characters and the storyline holds up, I'm quite happy to watch it, and I can just sort of go, oh, you know, occasionally. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, mainly because of Jensen. I know I'm fickle. You know, he wasn't put there to be easy on the eyes to me. I know, but hey, I've got a pulse. Hello. Anyway, so yeah, that was sort of my my sort of recommendations for 2022 in terms of TV shows. When it comes to films, there really wasn't a lot. I googled, you know, what was the top 10 grossing films of 2022, and most of them were shit, quite frankly. You know, you've got Thor: Love and Thunder, Doctor Strange in the multiverse of shit. Avatar, I've not gone to go see. I haven't even seen the first Avatar, let alone the second Avatar. I'm really just not my cup of tea. Thank you very much. And the Batman's in there. I've not watched that yet. I'm going to try and catch it before I go back to work. But really, these are the only 2 standouts. And I went to the cinema to see both of these. And I absolutely loved them. I mean, who doesn't love Top Gun Maverick? I mean, I'm sure there are some people out there who are just insane. But yeah, great film, great follow-up. You know, it was a sequel we didn't ask for, we didn't need, but oh my God, didn't we need it once we saw it? It was just so much fun. You know, they managed to sort of harness that 80s feel, but still moving it forward into, like, you know, something we can recognize of, like, today. It wasn't 100% like but in nostalgia that it didn't quite work. It was just so much fun. It's like, here's a story, here's some action, that's it. You know, you had female pilots in there, because there are female pilots, you know, and I'm sure there are good enough female pilots to go to Top Gun. It didn't have to be called out, and they didn't have to be better than everybody else, and they didn't have to be all sass. They were just good at what they did. And that was just, you know, just written and played out really, really well. I loved this film. I say, it was just so refreshing, just to have fun at the box office. And that's exactly the same for Bullet Train as well. I'd seen the trailers for this and it looked very funny. And obviously, who doesn't like a bit of Brad Pitt? So yeah, me and my friend went to go see this, and it was one of those films that literally, I think, but when I left the cinema, my cheeks actually hurt. I think I spent the whole film just sort of smiling and grinning and laughing. I got a bit gutted that it didn't do as well. I've done okay, but I mean, it wasn't as big a hit as I think people thought it would be, with like having sort of Brad Pitt in there. But it is a fantastic film. There is a review of it on my channel, as you'd expect. So do go check that out. The characters of Lemon and Tangerine were just the standout of this film. They're like these hitmen, and yeah, the whole thing is like a series like hitmen on a train. It could have been called. And this sort of story unraveling, and why everybody's there, and why they've been brought together, and what's Brad Pitt's role in all of this. It's a great film. I think it's by the same guy who done Atomic Blonde, which you also know I love, and there's a review on my channel. My channel's named after it. I love it so much. So yeah, it's lots of action, lots of fighting. Obviously, it's set in Japan. So I think the book that it's based on was actually obviously set in Japan. I think obviously like some Brad Pitt's character that would have been Japanese, so bit of reverse race swapping there. But it was a great film, absolutely great film, just so much fun, lots of action, and again, it was just entertainment, and there's no preaching, there's no, you know, there's some girl bosses in there, but again, they're incredibly unlikable. They're psychopaths at the end of the day. And I just absolutely love this film. I've got both of them on 4K to rewatch. But yeah, I highly recommend both these films if you hadn't had the chance to see them. So that's about it. That's it, really. That was. I mean, I think it's just so sad that of all the film releases in 2022, there's basically two that I can talk about and say that I really liked, which is tragic. No wonder we've had the worst box office since 2001, I think it is. Ned Roddick was saying on his channel the other day. So yeah, I say only, but $7 billion domestic in America. I mean, that's just shocking. And I think it's, you know, it's more than just people have got out the habit of going to cinema, because, you know, things like Top Gun prove if there's something people want to go watch, they'll go watch it. I think the problem is that cinemas got very expensive. You know, back in the good old days, back in 1940, when I was a youngster. No, you know, back in the day, you know, it was a cheap thing to do. And me and my brother and friends would go like most weeks, because it was cheap. You know, we didn't have a lot of money, and we could just be entertained. It was complete, you know, escapism, and it was something we could afford to do. And it took 2 hours out of our lives that you know, that we could just completely escape and forget about the crappy real world. Now, you know, it's so expensive to go. I mean, Odeon Leicester Square, it's like £17 a ticket. You know, you add on that then some drinks and popcorn and all of that kind of thing, you know, you're like 30 quid a visit. And that's like, you know, so for a family, you know, you're talking like £100 just to go to the cinema, which is crazy. I think, you know, my local cinema is much cheaper. It's a View. They were doing a special where it's $4.99 and then $6.99 for like for premium tickets and stuff, which is much better, and I think much more affordable for people. And they do need to kind of bring the prices down a bit, I think, for people to go. But most importantly, they need to make stuff that people want to bloody go see. Just give us some entertainment. Stop preaching at us. Stop giving us strong female characters who are just absolute knobs that are obnoxious, and you wouldn't root for one of them years. Within 10 minutes, you just think, oh God, I wish they'd kill this character off, and she's meant to be the protagonist, so it's like, anyway. Obviously, there's been some moving and shaking going on in Hollywood, what we're seeing over at DC. I was really excited. And then they got rid of Henry Cavill. What are you thinking, James Gunn? Seriously? I mean, he might make an absolutely great Superman movie with a new actor, but I think, to allow him to make the announcement that they're going to do it and then pull the plug or the rug out from underneath him, I feel so sorry for Henry Cavill. He, again, a bit like Matt Smith, he just deserves a bit of a break, he was just born to play Superman and things like The Witcher. And Hollywood just hate him because he's a man. He looks like a man. And he seems to be actually a really nice guy. And he's just very passionate about, what he likes, same as we are. And, somebody saying, hey, can you stick to the source material? Doesn't make you toxic, and it doesn't make you difficult to work with. It's actually showing some respect to the fans and the creators, if anything, you need more people like that in Hollywood who are prepared to stand up and go, hey, this is shit. What are we? This isn't how it should be. So fingers crossed for Henry. I mean, I know he's off doing his Warhammer thing. I know nothing about Warhammer other than the few things I've heard Az say on his channel. But hey, I'll give it a go. I'll absolutely give it a go. Like I say, I like my sci-fi and a bit of fantasy. I'm not a massive fantasy person, but almost just to support Henry, really. And I say I hope he gets the projects that he actually deserves, and he gets to make some good films. He'd make a great James Bond. We know we're not going to get that because Hollywood don't have the balls. We'll see. What else next year? I mean, we obviously got the Mission Impossible films coming up. Really excited for those. And Guardians 3. Hopefully, if Gunn was left alone to pretty much make the film he wanted to make, we'll probably get a Guardians 3. If there's a lot of interference from old Feige, we'll probably get a pile of shit. We'll see. Let's hope he goes out on high. And, all the male characters aren't killed off. That would be nice. But we'll see. Obviously, we got the 60th anniversary Doctor Who with David Tennant being back, 3 episodes. Not till November next year, so pretty much November 23rd is the 60th anniversary. We had the trailer drop, or teaser really, on Christmas Day. I really liked it. I know I'm trying to give everything the benefit of the doubt. I mean, the fact that there's a trans character in it, so what? I'm a bit, like I say, like, trans people do exist. They are a real thing. And I think if it's just played that, this is their daughter and here's her storyline, fantastic. I think, again, if it starts going into lots of issues or there's a political side to that, I think people will switch off. But, he brought in Captain Jack, and Captain Jack swings every which way. And he just did. That's just how people are in the future. So I think if we just got that, she just is. I mean, the thing I've not actually read or seen, and people do correct me, but I know the actress is trans. But I've not read anything that actually says the character's trans. Maybe I'm wrong. We just know this trans actress is playing Donna's daughter. Now, she could just be Donna's daughter, as in daughter, right? I don't know. Maybe something has been written. I just personally haven't seen anything. So there's lots of people going, oh, there's a trans character. I don't think we even know if she is actually trans. Maybe I've missed it. But maybe she's just playing Donna's daughter, Rose. Who knows? But I'm trying not to get hung up about that stuff. I have a lot of faith in Russell T Davies. He's a very clever writer. And And, he pushed the boundaries, bringing in Captain Jack. I mean, you hadn't got a character like that in a mainstream family show that was openly, I don't know, is it pansexual, bisexual? I who knows, Captain Jack. But nobody cared because he was a great character and he's a fun character, and we fell in love, and it's absolutely heartbreaking what's going on with John Barrowman at the moment. Something happened 17 years ago that he apologized for 17 years ago, and all his cast members have come out and say, look, we don't have an issue with him, we're okay, we're not, I'm not scarred for life by this, and I'm still good friends with John. That people just can't let it go. The guy's apologized. You can say it's inappropriate behavior, but he didn't murder anybody, he didn't sexually assault anybody, he's just a bit flamboyant and very proud of his tackle, whatever. I just feel really, really sorry for the guy that, as we know, Twitter, it doesn't matter how many times you apologize, it's never enough for them. So I just hope John can get past this and don't let the trolls get him down, and hopefully he will find his way, and he has got good friends and family around him that will tell him that he's a good person and he's loved, and don't do anything silly, John. So there's a few things out there. We've got Secret Invasion. I'm very much on the fence with this. Again, I'm hoping it's going to be good. I love Samuel L. Jackson, but don't have I have actually zero optimism when it comes to anything Disney now. After the trash that's been rolled out this year, with bloody She-Hulk and Willow and all that nonsense, I am not holding my breath. Again, trailer looks good. Is it going to be a bait and switch? Probably. But again, fingers crossed for Samuel that they actually give him a good vehicle, that he does get a good show. We'll see. So they're just a few things looking forward to next year. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more stuff out there, and we'll start hearing about what's coming up. I guess the big thing to say is, obviously I launched my channel in July, so really not that long ago, 5 months. I've loved every minute. I've really enjoyed doing my Nerdy Weekly Roundups, which hopefully we'll start getting back on track in the new year, and there'll be some new shows to come out to review. But thank you to everybody that subscribed to the channel. When I looked just before Christmas, I was 69 subscribers. 69, dude. Which has blown my mind. I think I said a number of times on these streams, I thought I'd launch my channel, be talking to myself pretty much for a year, and if 4 or 5 people watch it, I'll be blown away. So to get 69 subscribers and see people each week checking in, seeing what nonsense is coming out of my mouth, is absolutely amazing. So thank you so much. Hopefully the channel will continue to grow next year. Try and carve out some more time to get some more videos rolling. I need to do some more Atomic Rewinds on films that I love. So there is Dread and Atomic Blonde on there. There's so many films I want to cover. Again, it's just getting the time. And every time you try and put one of those kind of reviews together, you get copyright striked and all kinds of stuff. So they're, for only like sort of 10-15 minutes, they take an awful long time to put together. And try and get me pop chat up and running again. There's lots of things going on to discuss in the new year. So as ever, do leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. If there's things you want me to review next year, you want to hear my takes on things, then do let me know. I do answer all the comments as much as I can. But thank you, everybody. It's meant the absolute world, and I'm really excited for 2023 and what's coming up. And chatting to you guys, I've always said, like, when I get to 100 subscribers, I'm going to start live streaming on the channel. So I'm not too far away. And obviously, you can find me on this Facebook. Hopefully, I should be rejoining them next year, where we have listed, where we go back and look at old stuff. And we kind of do a weekly, what's going on, what we're excited about. Obviously, chatting to Dan at the moment, Dan Hadley, who very kindly brought me onto this Facebook, and I met some great people, Matt Pot and Ian, who have supported this channel with me and given me advice. So thank you, everybody. And have a happy new year, and I will see you in 2023. Bye-bye.